Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I will be breaking down episode 1 of Star Wars The Bad Batch, entitled Aftermath. This episode dropped on May the 4th, 2021, and I couldn't be more excited about it. This show has been highly anticipated ever since it was announced. So it's a fantastic day that this has finally arrived and we can see it. Before I go any further, I need to say that there will be spoilers in this review. So if you've not watched this episode, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video unless you really want to be spoiled. With that out of the way, let's get on with the review. The episode begins on the planet Kaller, where we find Jedi Master Depa Billaba leading a force of clone troopers under siege by Separatist forces. They are waiting for reinforcements to arrive, when we see Master Billaba's Padawan show up. The young man's name is Caleb Dume, and for those of you who are familiar with the Rebels series, you will recognize this name as the former identity of Kanan Jarrus, the Jedi we saw in that series, and one of the known survivors of the Jedi Purge. Caleb brings the reinforcements, a team of 5 remarkable clones who arrive and make quick work of the droid forces. Shortly after this assault, General Billaba's clone commander receives a transmission, telling him to execute Order 66, and the clones immediately turn and attack the Jedi Master. The members of the Bad Batch seem unaffected and somewhat confused by this order. Nevertheless, Caleb is unsure and runs away after his master is slain. Hunter and Crosshair pursue him, but these two clones apparently have differing motives, since Hunter is trying to help Caleb while Crosshair is trying to kill him. At this point, it is established that not all of the Bad Batch are immune from the mind control programming. Caleb escapes, and the Bad Batch fly back home to the cloning facility on Kamino, a location we first saw in the prequels. When they arrive, they find extreme levels of security, as well as the presence of shock troopers. All of the clones are eventually called to an assembly, where we see a transmission from Emperor Palpatine himself, as he addresses the Senate and announces that the Republic is to be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire. This speech is the same one we saw in Episode 3, so we know exactly when this is happening in the context of the prequels. After the Batch leave this meeting, they are approached by a young girl named Omega, who is apparently a medical assistant at the facility, and is later discovered that she is a genetically enhanced clone, much like the other members of the Bad Batch. Admiral Tarkin arrives at the facility, and we learn that he intends to stop any further production of clones and transition to conscripted troopers instead. Next, we find the Bad Batch eating in the clones' mess hall, and Omega joins them at the table. A few choice words from a regular clone sparks an all-out brawl, which Tarkin witnesses. He then decides to test the Bad Batch in a training exercise. This quickly escalates when Tarkin decides to use live rounds against the team, and he deploys droids which look very much like prototype Dark Troopers. The Bad Batch struggles against this type of force, but ultimately prevails. Tarkin claims to be impressed by their performance and assigns them to a mission. They are to take down a group of Separatist insurgents in the Onderon sector. Before leaving, Omega warns Hunter not to trust Tarkin, but the mission goes forward anyway. Upon arriving on the planet, the team quickly discovers that there are no droids or Separatists there, but instead a group of Republic fighters and civilians led by Saw Gerrera, a character we have previously seen in the Clone Wars, Rebels, and Rogue One. Hunter speaks with Saw and decides to let the group go, which leads to a major conflict between him and Crosshair, who wants to complete the mission as ordered. Hunter destroys a probe droid that is spying on them, and he concludes that Omega's warning about Tarkin was justified. They decide to return to Kamino and rescue her, since she is technically one of them. Back on Kamino, Omega is discovered rummaging around in the belongings of the Bad Batch, and is subsequently taken into custody by the shock troopers. The Batch arrive back on Kamino and are immediately arrested and thrown in the same cell with Omega. Crosshair, however, gets removed from the cell and undergoes a medical procedure to intensify the programming of his inhibitor chip. Tech figures out a way to open the section of the wall of the cell, allowing Omega to climb out, and she eventually reaches the control panel to free the others. They make their way back to the hangar and retrieve their gear. At this point, Crosshair shows up, commanding a team of clones, and a big shootout ensues. Ultimately, the Bad Batch prevails in this fight, with Omega delivering a critical blaster shot which disables Crosshair's rifle. They then take off into hyperspace in search of allies who can help them. Overall, I love this episode. Lots of action and intriguing insight into the dynamics of how Order 66 really changed the lives of this group of clones. I'm excited to see where this series goes as the season progresses. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Your support is much appreciated. Also, if you want to see more reviews of The Bad Batch, please subscribe because I plan on reviewing each and every episode of this series as it goes forward. Until next time, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.